Hello there! Welcome to this episode of Forest Ghost Conversations. This is your host, Anthony King, and this week I'm going to take a deep dive into the Star Wars Outlaws trailer. Before we get started, I'm inviting you to join the conversation with us. We can be found on Twitter and Hive at Forest Ghost Pod. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok just by searching Forest Ghost Conversations. Also, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on your listening site of choice. Plus, Forest Ghost Conversations is live on Patreon. If you are a fan of the podcast and would like to consider pledging your support, there will be a link in the episode description for you to check out the various tiers offered. Finally, please be sure to check out our TeePublic store to buy some Forest Ghost Conversations merchandise. And without further ado, it is time to gather around the campfire for some Forest Ghost Conversations. All right, everybody, welcome back to another installment of Forest Ghost Conversations. And for the time being, this is going to be a little different of a show than what you're probably used to for the past over 110 plus episodes of this podcast to this point. As many of you are probably aware, Hollywood is currently in a massive strike. First, the Writers Guild went on strike, and now SAG-AFTRA, the Screen Actors Guild, has also gone on strike against the studio system in Hollywood, particularly in regards to getting proper payment for streaming rights and for residuals from that process. Now, I don't claim to, be too involved with all that. I'm not a member of SAG. I'm not a member of the WGA. I'm not a member of the studio system either. But I do want to say that I stand in solidarity with those on strike, right? The SAG-AFTRA and the WGA. So, in doing so, SAG has announced a, let's just say, set of guidelines for podcasters in regards to how they can support the strike, etc. And I want to do my best to abide by those. I believe in the strike. I believe in what they're doing. And I believe that they're fighting for a great cause right now and to make sure that actors are being compensated fairly for their work. And basically what that means is, as a podcaster in this realm, I'm not allowed to produce content that could be considered promotional for the studios that are producing movies and television content. So, basically, in my understanding, and I could be wrong, please forgive me if I'm off on this, but it means for the time being, while SAG is still on strike or until the guidelines change, I am unable to talk about, let's say, the movies per se, so Star Wars movies, let's say Indiana Jones movies, Willow, right? It means I'm not allowed to talk about them on the podcast until I'm told otherwise. That also relates to TV shows, especially if they're on streamers, right? So let's say Ahsoka is coming up, and if the strike is still going on or guidelines haven't changed by the time Ahsoka starts, then I won't be covering those on our weekly podcast. So that also relates to, let's say, Light and Magic on Disney Plus, Young Jedi Adventures, which is also going to be unveiling a set of new episodes coming out very soon on Disney Plus. So, I mean, I'd love to cover those at some point, but we'll get to that in due time. I believe that the strike will end one day, and then we'll get back into the litany of topics that we have available. So that's kind of the game plan for right now. What does that mean for you all at home? So, like I said in the kind of the start of this little rambling or rant, if you will, monologue, perhaps some might say, is that first and foremost, you're still going to expect a weekly episode from Forest Ghost Conversations. That's not changing at all, right? I'm still going to be releasing a content. I'm going to be talking about various things. I'm going to explain what some of those things are going to be in a little bit here. So you can certainly anticipate all that stuff coming out. You're going to hear my voice. Maybe you'll hear a guest or two, but we'll be covering all that stuff. It just won't be your typical flair of what we've been covering lately. So, good news is I'm still going to be on your airwaves. Or maybe that's bad news, depending on if you don't like the show or not. But you're probably not listening if you don't like the show. So, there you go. Now, you're probably saying, what are you going to be covering? And that's a great point as well. So, basically, what this entails is, since I'm not allowed to cover things that relate to movies or TV, that doesn't mean that I cannot talk, at least in my estimation and understanding of the guidelines, talk about adjacent things, right? So, video games. I can talk video games all I want. Star Wars video games, things that happen in the Star Wars world that take place via a video game, right? So that's going to be what we're going to talk about in this episode, which is, of course, the Star Wars Outlaws trailer. I believe that I can also talk about books, which is something that is a little scary for me. But I think with the right patience and guidance, we can certainly cover some books in the Star Wars galaxy, as well as comics. I'd love to get into some comics. I'm a little less apprehensive about than books. So books and comics are certainly fair game, in my opinion. And I also think we can do some behind the scenes kind of information dumps, if you will. So maybe little biographies about characters, not characters per se, but actors, people behind the scenes that made Lucasfilm and Star Wars what it is. Right? I'm not promoting the films through those efforts. I'm just talking about the people behind the scenes and maybe highlighting some of those folks that you may not have heard of. Also, parks, I believe, are fair game too. So anything in the Star Wars parks. So we could talk about a Halcyon Star Cruiser, rest in peace. We could talk about Galaxy's Edge, which I've been to and unfortunately haven't talked about for a year plus now, which I think it's due time for a change on that one. The Disney Wish has this, the Hyperspace Lounge on it, the cruise ship. So all that stuff, I believe, is fair game, and that's kind of the content that you can expect over the next couple of weeks. Maybe a play and talk, right? We'll do a video game trailer discussion. Maybe we'll rank some stuff, rank some books, look at some comics. Maybe not necessarily rank, but maybe just list some favorites, right? That's probably something you can expect. All that stuff is on the table, and it really allows me to do some deep dives into some content that I've really been looking forward to do on the podcast for a while. But because we've had so much Star Wars content literally over the last year plus, almost 2 years, year and a half that we've been doing Force Ghost conversations, I can finally utilize this little pause in the general action, if you will, of the show to highlight some of those other stuff that I'm looking forward to talk about. Now, on the downside, we also won't be covering the news and Cloud City gossip, just because that could also be considered as promotional. So I don't want to have any gray area there. So won't be covering news for the time being until I receive updated guidelines about stuff. Also, you may see just shorter episodes in general, because if we're not talking about the news and doing a main segment, right, the episodes may appear to be shorter, but I can assure you that I am doing my absolute best to give you guys the best content whatsoever in regards to Force Ghost Conversations, right? I hold myself to a high standard, and I want to continue giving you all that each and every week, as this is a fun and cozy place to celebrate Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Willow, all things Lucasfilm. I definitely want to have a great time chatting about all that stuff with you all. And in due time, we certainly will. We'll cover all that stuff that we've missed, and of course, catch up. I think maybe there's going to be a little gap in Star Wars programming, especially once Ahsoka is done, as far as I know. So we will definitely get into everything that we've missed so far. I know Visions is kind of outlying there. A couple documentaries have come out. Of course, Ahsoka is just around the corner. Young Jedi Adventures, yeah, and of course, I want to still talk about Indiana Jones, but at the right time, we will get to some more indie discussions. So be on the lookout for all that stuff just around the corner. I'm excited to see what I'm hopeful, I should say, that the results of the strike are fortuitous for the actors and writers who work really hard to bring us the great content that we're able to enjoy each and every week via streaming platforms, via physical media or just on television if you still have cable. I believe that they certainly should be paid their just due for their work, and especially in the times that we live in with inflation crises, cost of living, all that stuff. It's a hard time, and I want everyone to be able to succeed in their own and rights and be paid properly for their work. So that is what we're going to be doing here on Forrester's Conversations. I hope that you all stick around for the next couple of weeks. It may get awkward, it may get weird, but trust me, I think it's for a great cause, and we're going to do this together. So I thank you for your time and your patience as we go into this little brief chapter of Forest Ghost Conversations. It's going to be dipping into some different conversations and different discussions. So I hope that you're enjoying and are along for the ride at the same time. So with that, let's get to our main kind of topic and discussion for today's episode, which is going to be talking about the Star Wars Outlaws trailer, which came out a little over a month ago. And I'll be honest, I have actually not seen this trailer yet, so this is going to be a first for for me. So you're really going to get a real raw review, not necessarily a review, but a real just honest viewpoint and opinion of this as I go through this trailer for the first time. If you've been a part of the show in our previous episodes, of course, you know that for trailers, I like to just kind of blind react as best as I can, or just talk through them as I go through the episode or the trailer. And if you want to follow along at home, please be sure to do so. All you need to do is go to youtube.com, search Star Wars Outlaws, and you'll find the trailer many places. I've found the Star Wars YouTube site, or YouTube channel, I should say, which titles the video Star Wars Outlaws World Premiere Trailer. It's 2 minutes and 26 seconds, and I've got it queued up right now. So if you guys are ready, I am ready to discuss a little bit about this trailer. I know a little bit about the game at this point, but let's talk about that after I play it. So if you got it queued up, great. If not, you're going to hear my thoughts in just a few seconds here. But if you want to play along at the same time, I'm going to hit play in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hit play. Okay. Thing. Some explosions. First off, this game looks beautiful. Wow. Is this a movie? Look at that Star Destroyer. This music in the background, too. Wow. The Pike Syndicate. Someone's frozen in carbonite. Is that Han? Oh, some belongs to syndicates, right? We gotta get to a little bit of Pike Syndicate here. Of course, it's Outlaws, so we're gonna be dealing with the seedy underworld of Star Wars, if you will. Look at that, Sabak. Kay's definitely involved here. What's this little cute guy roaming around at the Sabak table? Man, this animation is great. Ooh, little Quarren, Twi'leks, some Pikes. Oh, a couple bounty hunters get into a fight. Who doesn't love a good cantina brawl? Oh man, evading away on the speeder bike. I mean, this is a great cutscene. This is almost like a movie. Man, if animation is getting this good, wow, this is a great open world planet, I'll tell you. She needs a chance to finally be free. Free from what? The Syndicate? The Pikes? Hmm. Jalen is offering her a way out. Hmm. Look at a little Dash Rendar like there. Yeah, see, there's a commando droid. Again, has to pull some heist or some job. I've heard this one before. Look at a little Rancor. That's probably Jabba's palace. Is that Kajimi? Looks like Kajimi to me. Cloud City. I don't know who that guy is, but we've got the Pikes, of course. Ooh, she's gonna risk it all. I mean, hey, wow, this is excellent. Coming 2024, Star Wars Outlaws. Wow, wow, everybody, that honestly blew me away. I wasn't expecting that trailer whatsoever to hit. Holy cow! I mean, you would have won me alone at just playing Sabak, but geez, I mean, you couple all that with this concept of, kind of this what we hear in basically solo a lot, right? You do this one job, you're out of it, but then that goes wrong, so then you have to do another job that gets you out of it. And you just keep further digging your own hole into this, everything is a bigger takeaway than what you did before, right? So the jobs just get harder, more intricate, the stakes get bigger, all that stuff comes into play. And man, wow, this is a really great trailer. I mean, what cute little sidekick that she's got with her here, this main character, Kay. A lot of familiar elements. Cloud City looks like a Jimmy to me. Clearly, you're at first it looks like working for the Pike Syndicate, and then maybe Kay wants out, and then that kind of leads off on the adventures. So for those of you at home, this is supposed to be an open world Star Wars game set to come out in 2024, looks like. So my guess would probably be around late summer holiday season-ish to kind of get the most bang for your buck, probably. Um, so yeah, this looks exquisite. Oh man, sorry if I'm a little starstruck here because I wasn't really expecting this at all. Um, Looks like she meets up with some seedy character from her past, perhaps named Jalen, um, who's kind of given her this option to go on this heist, and probably are going through um, this whole endeavor. Man, man, this is great. A lot of great elements. Clearly, it looks like it's taking place. If I saw the Carbonite right, it looks like it's between Empire and Return of the Jedi in the timeline. You're in the midst of the Galactic Civil War. Clearly, there's lots of elements of fighting against the Empire too at the same time, but mainly looks like the Pike Syndicate is going to be the main enemy here. It looks like there is also some bounty hunters coming into play here, so maybe something was stolen from the Pikes doing their job, right? You got everybody's looking over their shoulder, and that's really what Jalen said there that stuck out to me is like, you don't have to look over your shoulder anymore. It's like, how many times have we heard that again? Man, this is a great trailer. Trust me. I all now that grad school is done, and which by the way, hey, grad school is over, everybody. I can I don't have that as an I don't have that lingering over my head anymore. So this is a great time for Force Ghost Conversations. I get to devote more time and effort and energy to the podcast, which is really great for everybody at home, plus me, because I love doing this, and I'm glad to keep doing this to a great degree too. So I can get back into gaming again. And obviously, if you've been following us on Twitter, which you absolutely should, to continue the conversations, you perhaps saw that I've been playing some Jedi Survivor lately, catching up or trying to remember how I'm playing all this stuff. I mean, it's hard to keep track with all this sometimes, especially when you take a few months hiatus. And boy, did it take me a few tries to get back into the swing of things to figure out where the lay of the land is of everything. But I got my bearings back, and this game looks expansive. It looks wide. It's got that Fallout feel to it, if you know what I mean. If you're a gamer, where you can definitely choose your own adventures all the time with this main kind of content, mainstream. What am I trying to say here? There's the main storyline. That's it. You do that. You get your effort, and then that's the main track of the game. But if you want, there's about a billion other side quests. You can probably just get lost in the world. Maybe you've heard of games like Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption that kind of have a similar model too, with all of it, where you just kind of can do some side missions here, collect some cash, or just kind of roam around the world, which it seems like clearly they're doing here. So this game looks incredible. It should definitely be at the top of your anticipation list when it comes to upcoming Star Wars things. This game is just astounding. I hope you all get a chance to watch the trailer and all of that, because I am certainly pumped for this game to come out, and I hope that you all are at home as well. So those are my immediate reactions. You probably got about as raw of a viewing of this trailer as possible, especially recorded live here on the podcast. So I hope you take a second chance to rewatch it again. This is kind of the typical stuff you can expect from the podcast moving forward. Here is some exciting things we've got going on here at Force Ghost Conversations. So I thank you for putting up with us, if you will, or sticking through, perhaps is another way to say it, as we go through this interesting time here where, we're standing in solidarity with SAG-AFTRA and the WGA as they strike for better working conditions, of course. So thanks again to everybody for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed our little just take on Star Wars Outlaws. It looks incredible, and definitely go rewatch the trailer again. I might have to. It's blowing me away. So that's a really great thing coming out, to be definitely excited about as we look forward to 2024. I mean, golly, can't believe we're saying that already. I mean, we're only in July here, so it's not like we've got it's right around the corner, but we've got a couple. It's going to be here before we know it. So with that, folks, let's continue the conversation. Hit us up on all the social media channels. You know where to find us: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Hive. Just search Forest Ghost Conversations and you'll find us there. I'm going to look to be more active on the social channels, especially as I'm now going to be having some more free time, of course, in my day-to-day because of no longer being in grad school, which is an exciting thing. So definitely looking forward to interacting with you all a bit more on those platforms. Plus, if you want to go beyond, support the show, of course, by rating and reviewing the show on your podcast platform of choice. It helps us to expand our audience to other folks who are into Lucasfilm, Star Wars, all that kind of stuff, the things that we talk about here on a weekly basis. You know the drill. Also, tell your friends about us. Share the show on your social media channels. It goes a long way to adding more people around the proverbial seats that are around this campfire called Force Ghost Conversations. Also, if you want to take your fandom a little bit further, we have a Patreon where you can subscribe at various tiers that are available to you, starting for as little as $1 a month. You can get so many more Force Ghost Conversations goodies, which are great. So definitely check that out. There's a link in the episode description if you want to consult that information. You can also go to our TeePublic site, which again, there's a link in the episode description where you can check out our merchandise that we have available, which ranges from t-shirts to hoodies to baby clothing to pillows, which includes the Force Ghost Conversations logo, the Star Wars inspired logo, the Indiana Jones inspired logo, and of course the Willow inspired logo. So we got all that available over there on TeePublic. So if you want to wear your Force Ghost Conversations pride, you can certainly do so by just going over to that site. And they run sales all the time, so take advantage of that. And of course, a little bit of the proceeds go to supporting the podcast here, which I funnel right back into all the stuff here. So thank you all for listening to this week's episode and for joining us on this incredible journey that is Force Ghost Conversations. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode, including something in this galaxy. So be on the lookout for that in your podcast feeds very soon. But until then, may the Force be with you. Take care.